Hello and welcome back to the Tea and a Buddy podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
And this is our little entertainment news roundup episode for you all.
Yes.
We're going to and a catch up as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because, what we've been doing is sprinkled into this too.
Oh, I thought you were going to say what we've been doing is more important than these other things.
Well, actually, some of it is. Especially
Quite
the first
frankly,
item on the list.
If we do say so ourselves.
Yeah. So,
What's the first item on the list?
Well, we'll get to that. We just want to ask, how are you? Are you okay? Take a deep breath. Tell us in the comments below how you are. But no, this first one, yesterday, wasn't it? Was it yesterday or the day before?
I don't know what we're talking about.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
You might have heard of her.
Friday it was.
Friday, she dropped her 16-track new album, The Tortured Poets Department. And she also dropped a surprise additional 16 tracks, or is it 15? 15 additional songs, The Tortured Poets Department Anthology.
Yeah.
So that was just, she just dropped everything in one big, thing. Saying, I've had this, I've done this is all you. Listen to it. Listen to it now. Tell me what you think.
So it ended up being the surprise double album, which people were absolutely losing their minds about.
Yeah, she likes to do that for her fans, though, doesn't she?
Oh, yeah. She
likes to give them a little bit of extra,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she loves to surprise them. She loves all the mystery and the Easter eggs and all of that.
Oh, yes. And, there was a lot of that in the album.
We are not technically Swifties.
Well, no, we're not technically Swifties. I mean,
we're not fans.
We're not fans, but we're not hardcore fans.
No,
we don't analyze the songs, or we don't know the lore.
We don't own any albums.
We don't know the Taylor Swift lore. We don't own any albums. No. We just
know the hits, basically.
The hits.
We did stream this. Well, I did. You didn't really listen to much of it. I think you listened toward the end. Didn't you?
I listened to some of the stuff.
My curiosity got the better of me because absolutely, like, every other video when I was scrolling on TikTok was people freaking out about this album.
People were freaking out about this album.
I've got to...
Because they do, like, the Swifties like to get together in the pubs, in the Black Dog.
Yeah.
And have a listen party, and they're listening to the songs. And, someone compiled on TikTok it was like reactionary, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was, a lot of people film themselves listening to the album, like, to get their initial reactions, upon the first listen. And there's one song, you see, you're gonna catch us out at how non-Swifty we are. I can't remember
Daddy,
the name
I love him.
Oh, that's it.
But Daddy, I love him.
In that song, there's a line where she says, "But Daddy, I love him. I'm having his baby," and somebody compiled
people listening to that line in particular.
And their reactions to that line, because then the next line is, "No, I'm not, but you should see your faces." And
I'm not, but you should see your faces. Yeah. And everyone's like, and someone like, ah ha ha, screaming, ah.
Yes.
The funniest ones were the people listening to it on the bed, and then they look at each other like, ah. And then no one goes, ha ha ha, yeah, she's not having a baby. One of them's like, you can see her face working like, no. This bears more investigation. She might be double bluffing us here. She might actually be pregnant.
But yeah. So all of them were surprised, and then they were laughing, and it's just fun, It kind of makes you feel like, okay, well, I'm not in this club, but it looks like a pretty fun club to be in. One that I think like.
Well, can you imagine, like, say, like the Beatles, right?
Yeah. Comparing
her to the Beatles now, her popularity and stuff is about on par with them.
Yeah.
People didn't do that. I'd be interested to know if people did do that back in the 60s. Like, okay, September 15th.
Reacting, you mean?
Yeah, film themselves reacting on their little Super 8 cameras. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, there's no sound to this one, kids. It's just like, it's just grainy footage of us going, yay! But yeah, no, if they had little, like, listen parties and stuff, you know, they all got together.
I'm sure they did.
Stick on the new album, let's hear it. Didn't really like that one. There's a remez, and that's probably what happened. You know, someone was sitting around in their bedroom going, I wonder what that means.
Yeah.
What does that line mean? Does that mean Paul's dead?
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it all started.
Yeah.
You know?
I wonder if that's, you know, where she drew her inspiration from, the fans coming up with all these, like, little mysteries and little Easter eggs throughout the Beatles stuff. And it was largely, to begin with anyway, the fans just creating it in their own minds. You know, the Beatles were like, no, we didn't do that, you know?
No, we didn't do that, yeah.
But after...
They've left clues. If you spin the record backwards, you can hear John Lennon.
If you do that, Paul doesn't have shoes on the cover, you know, what's that, you know...
Numerous references
who's that
on the
person
Sgt.
on the
Pepper's
cover
album.
of Sgt. Pepper, yeah,
There's a hand above Paul's head, that means, you know...
Yeah. And
something.
I think after a while, the Beatles were like, you know what, if they're gonna read stuff into
let's
this,
give them something to read.
Yeah. I think they definitely did. They definitely started doing that. I think they admit that they did later on, don't they?
No.
Yeah, they do.
No.
I think so.
I think if John was still alive, he would admit, oh yeah, the entire latter half of the Beatles' career, we were getting letters from fans saying this.
They definitely.
And and is Day Tripper about so and so, and is Day Tripper really a metaphor for this?
They definitely did the thing that Taylor also does, where they referred to earlier songs within their later songs.
Yeah,
they made reference to earlier songs. The Beatles did that, you know.
Well, they did that with All You Need Is Love.
Yeah, they did that.
That was the most obvious one.
They did that with several.
Glass Onion.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
They were aware of their own legend.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. And that's my point. Like, I wonder if she draws any inspiration from them, because I know she's a fan and she's friends with Paul McCartney and
Stella. Oh yes, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I wonder if they've had conversations about that.
She must have gone to Paul one day. She goes, "Come on, tell us the real story here. You did put stuff in the albums, didn't you? You know,
yeah,
that was all. And Paul probably was like, "Ooh, you never can tell."
You know, it's just so.
I might not be the real Paul McCartney. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think Paul's been a genius in the way he's handled the Beatles' legacy, and I think that she is single-handedly doing the same with her own legacy.
Yeah.
And I think that what makes it so smart is all these little details to keep her fans, like, so engaged. You know what I mean? Like, they feel like they're in this secret kind of club that, nobody who isn't as hardcore a fan as us knows about these things that these ways that she communicates with us through her music and through, you know.
Yeah. I'd be interested to test the theory of how far they'll take it, though.
What do you mean?
Because, you know, like, she had that kind of, like, bust up with Kanye and Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
And that resulted in her taking, like, a break for, like, a year.
Yeah.
She disappeared and, you know, nothing was really heard of her, and then she came back.
Yeah.
How many people think that she was replaced with a body double during that time? And
you're trying to start rumors now.
and you know, the real Taylor Swift is actually just living off the royalties somewhere, having a great time. You go out, Taylor clone, and you rock the world.
Yeah.
You know,
you go out and earn me $1 billion.
Earn me $1 million, and I'll pay you nothing. You know, you can just have all the fame.
But yeah, let us know if you've heard this album, and what's your favorite song on the album. I don't know. I think I may become a Swiftie now.
Yeah.
I'm looking into it anyway.
I'm looking into where can I apply. Yeah. It's like, how do I sign me up?
The qualifications are.
Yeah. Find me the club.
And if I become a Swiftie, Dominic will become a Swiftie too.
Oh, will I now?
Yes, yeah. I haven't. We'll get to the album.
Well,
I'll play the album for you.
I'll play the album.
And then
because she's only got one album.
No, I'll play this new album.
And it's a very good album.
For you. And then we'll dig into how to become a Swiftie. If you're a Swiftie, let us know. Is there a secret handshake?
Yes. Sadly, for all you Swifties listening, if there are any of you listening, we're moving on from Taylor Swift right now, but she might make an appearance later on in this episode. You never know. Listen. Keep listening till the end. You finally finished Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
And Mafia Definitive Edition.
You know what? Taylor Swift is about to make
she's about to make
a sooner appearance than you anticipated, because I saw on TikTok somebody thinks that all of
Taylor
the songs,
Swift's in the Mafia.
No, that all of the songs off of Tortured Poets Department they're not really about Maddie Healy. They're not really about Joe Alwyn. They're not really about Travis Kelce. They are, in fact, and I promise you, this girl was dead serious. They are, in fact, about the Harry Potter books. And all the different clues.
Weirdly enough,
the black dog. There's a black dog in Harry Potter, and all. She said I'll lay it out for you.
No, I've heard that theory before, that Taylor Swift is connected to Harry Potter, or she's a big Potterhead, and she puts like she's based her whole career around Harry Potter, her whole writing.
Well, someone in the comments.
I've heard that theory before, and it's kind of like, what are you trying to get out here? That she's and have you noticed how J.K. Rowling is basically, we
don't know where she's.
What if J.K. Rowling and Taylor Swift are the same person? Have you ever seen them in the same room together? No. Can you imagine? No, that would be some split personality.
Apparently, she said in some interview. Someone said this in the comments, that she said in some interview that she was creating she's got the Taylor's version of each of her albums. She's re-recording each of her albums.
The first 6 anyway.
And she's made reference.
Scooter Braun ripped her off.
She's made reference to them as being Horcruxes or something like that. And the girl.
That's what the search. I was wondering what that search term was on Google. And Taylor Swift Horcruxes. I was like, what is that?
And the girl who made that video was like, show me that interview.
Show me the
immediately. No, she was like, show me that interview immediately. She was so like, I knew it. I knew I'd made the discovery. Tortured Poets Department is actually in reference to Harry Potter. I don't know.
Like the Deathly Hallows.
We'd have to ask
So they're saying there's Taylor Swift Horcruxes dotted around the world.
That her doing the albums again were like Horcruxes. They're taking a piece of her soul or whatever, I guess. You know what I mean? Something like that. I assume is what the reference was.
Kanye's going to go off and try and destroy them. He's like, okay, this Horcrux is out here, man. I've got to go destroy them. And then I'll finally destroy Taylor Swift.
Oh my god. Anyway, back to Harry Potter.
Or Taylor Swift.
Not Harry Potter, Hogwarts Legacy.
Well, it is. It's the Harry Potter universe, anyway.
Yes,
the Wizarding World.
I finished playing the game. If you guys...
What did you think of it?
I liked it.
I liked it? Well, guess what? Taylor Swift wrote it.
I did like it. I definitely... what did I think of the ending, you mean?
Well, yeah. What did you think of the story?
Yeah. I think that I liked it. I mean, I haven't played a whole lot of games like that. I mean, we established in the previous podcast where we were talking about my gaming history.
Your gaming history, yes. I mean, because I grew up playing computer games. I mean, that's kind of like... I mean, I say grew up playing them, yeah. I started on console and then I migrated to PC and, I just played all my games on the PC. So I've kind of like gone through the like technological advancements of games and graphics and, mechanics and all that kind of stuff, throughout the years. And it's just blowing me away when I think about when I was, a teenager.
Yeah.
Games, they'd already advanced a lot from... like the console, like Super Mario Brothers and
oh yeah
N64 and all that.
Yeah.
N64 was really like the game changer, as they like to say. Oh, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it was like in a 3D environment, and it was like first person, and, you know, it was like, oh yeah, you know, you're not like in a 2D and you're seeing a little Mario guy jump and...
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But now it's become kind of like, you know, I mean, it's only going to become holodecks from here on out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, you know, when you started playing Hogwarts Legacy, you were like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Look at that. That looks so pretty. That looks so gorgeous. And I'm just like, yeah. I mean, the graphics are like real life quality.
Yeah.
You
know? You're kind of going around and you're like, oh, it's so pretty here. And it's like, oh no, this isn't a real place.
This isn't a real place. It's just a game. It's just computer generated. It's AI.
Yeah.
It's an AI game. I mean, AI obviously powers a lot of technology now, you know, processes and stuff. You know?
I think definitely for my first game, like my first modern
game, yeah.
Game,
because you were a big Roller Coaster Tycoon fan, weren't you?
Or my first, like, gamery type of game, I guess.
Yes, because you see, like, people play games on Twitch. If you subscribe on Twitch, we don't have a Twitch yet. I've talked about this because
he keeps thinking I should get a Twitch
because it's funny watching her play like Mafia and to finish it because we played the Mafia 1 and 2.
Yeah, I played the Mafia games also.
Yeah, because she's a big Mafia fan.
I'm a huge fan. I've got all their autographs.
All the Mafia people, she says, can you send me? Yeah. An offer you can't refuse. And there's a lot of driving in those games.
Oh, God.
In Hogwarts Legacy, you don't drive, obviously. You fly around in a broom, but, you know.
Yeah, or just run.
Yeah. And, you know, the Mafia, I mean, even though they've released the definitive editions, they're older games now.
Yeah.
The mechanics are still hold up pretty good, but, you know, they're still a little bit clunky or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So the driving in those games were...
I will say that playing those games, the stories were really good. Like, they could have been just movies unto themselves, I think.
Well, yeah, no, sometimes, you know, I mean, yeah, they were.
But other than, like, the driving felt like it was just kind of giving me something to do a lot of the times, you know. Oh, go open this door, you know, and then it would be another cutscene or something like that. It was just a little bit... I won't say it wasn't as fun as playing Hogwarts Legacy, but I did enjoy the ability. Although you said I could have done that in Mafia, I just didn't really do it. We did it a little bit more in the second one. Kind of go around where you want to go, and
you can free roam, as they say.
Yeah,
it was kind of like one of the very first kind of open world games, as they like, because open world games now are kind of like the norm.
Yeah, but there's no one to interact with. In the Mafia ones.
No, they were just open world as you can explore the map
you could
and look
kind
at
of
it
just
and go,
randomly punch someone and they would fight you back.
Yeah, which you did a lot.
But you couldn't...
Gets the aggressions out, you know?
But there was no one to, like in Hogwarts Legacy, there were people to, oh, there's someone over here that will talk to me. I can go up and talk to them. You know, side quests. Yeah, there's no side quests in the Mafia games.
No.
I like that better, I think. Whereas the story was better in the Mafia games probably than it was in Hogwarts Legacy. Obviously, the graphics were a lot better in Hogwarts Legacy, but yeah, I've liked both of them so far. Yeah. I just started playing, what's it? Red Dead Redemption
2. Yeah, because, I mean, this will be something we'll talk about, next, actually. You know, if people know what the Red Dead Redemption genre is, it's by the same people who made Grand Theft Auto, but it's a Western story, and it's magnificent. You know, it's movie quality.
Yeah.
The writing is absolutely there. Me and Jack Black will die on the hill of saying they should make that into a movie, or they should do something with that. Yeah, but again, that was made in 2018, and it's an old game by now standards, you know. But it's still the mechanics are absolutely fantastic. The graphics are really good.
Obviously, I grew up in Texas, where, you know, I've known cowboys in my life, and my grandfather was a huge cowboy. He himself was not an actual cowboy, but, you know, a cowboy. What people think of when they think of a cowboy, he was. He wasn't an actual, like, cattle wrangler.
Yeah, cattle pusher, as they say.
And, in growing up in the Texas Panhandle, I saw all the plains and everything, and my grandfather was hugely into Westerns and everything. I never really got into the culture. Ever. All my time I've lived here in Texas, I've never been, into, Western kind of culture.
Yeah. They were hugely popular in the 40s and 50s and 60s.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The spaghetti western.
Spaghetti westerns is actually how now people think of how it was back then.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, that was the European idea of how the West was.
Mm-hmm.
It was lawless, and, people wore ponchos and cowboy hats, and gunslingers everywhere, and, and dirty water and horses and everything.
I have to imagine it was.
I mean, it was
relatively actually
relatively like that, yeah. But it's like a romanticized version of it.
Yes, yeah.
And of course, America's taken that on
in the same way. The Godfather's a romanticized version of the mafia.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, that's what shows like Yellowstone and its prequels 1883 and 1923 are,
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I was looking on Reddit the other day, someone was talking about Yellowstone and Red Dead Redemption 2 and how similar the characters kind of are.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, yeah, that's the genre though. It's kind of like when you play Mafia, it's like watching Goodfellas or The Sopranos even.
Well, that's what I was going to say, growing up with so much Wild West culture, around me, I never really got into it.
Yeah.
But I was definitely very exposed to it.
Yeah.
And we recently we didn't start, we've finished. we started and we finished.
We started so we'd finish.
And we finished the 1883 series on Paramount
Plus, yeah.
And it's apparently a prequel. I had no idea. I had just heard a little bit about it.
Tim McGraw and Faith Hill.
And we're hugely, I think both of us, wouldn't you say, hugely into period dramas.
Period dramas, yeah. And we were just talking about, there's no real American period dramas.
Yeah, and now suddenly there's several, I think.
Yeah.
But this one is, and so we were like, let's give it a shot. You guys, if you have not seen 1883, it is so good. It's so, so good. And now I think we might even watch Yellowstone when we get to it.
There's 5 seasons of that. I think the 5th season has come out.
Let us know if you watch Yellowstone, or if you've seen 1883. We've just started 1923, so we've only watched...
Yeah, that stars Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren in the lead roles.
But the 1883 one is so, so good. And I'm one of these people, I don't know if this is going to make any sense, but I'm one of these people who, when I watch something, I go in to watch Harry Potter and I come out and I'm a wizard. Do you know what I mean? Or
kind of like Ringo said that about when he used to go to the pictures on a Saturday, the movie theater. He's like, if it was a Western on, I was come home as a cowboy. If there was, like a gangster thriller, I come home as a gangster,
I get very, very into well-written fiction, like very, very into it. Not like in a weird way, but kind of in a weird way.
Yes. Just sitting here in chaps.
As I sit here chewing my straw with my cowboy hat on.
Like, yeah. Yeah. That's right.
And so watching 1883, I was like, I think I want to play that Red Dead Redemption. I need to live my cowboy life now. Can I live my cowboy life now? And so we started that last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was last night. We do them. We do all this stuff at night. Yeah. And it's just it's very we've only just started because that game is epic.
Yeah.
It's not like Mafia where you can kind of finish it maybe in 2 nights. This is going to take a while.
Yeah.
Because there are side quests.
Okay. It's like
Hogwarts
Legacy.
Quests. It's like Hogwarts Legacy, but more so.
I've noticed some of the the controls even are like Hogwarts Legacy, climbing up and then back down, you kind of hit the same things. Yeah. And
I mean, that's,
so all of that's going to be...
There's also different buttons to push, and, you know, like, people who've played Red Dead Redemption 2, they're going to be going, oh, yes, you know, this is it.
This is 2, is it?
This is 2, but it's a prequel
to
the first game. You were trying to and the first game isn't available on PC. Yeah. The story is a prequel to the first game, which this one's set, Red Dead Redemption 2 is set in 1899.
Yeah.
And you play Arthur Morgan. And Redemption 1 is set in 1911 with John Marston.
Yeah.
The character. So it's kind of like at the end of, like, the outlaw life is ending, you know?
Yeah.
So there were still cowboys around, obviously, and stuff like that, but, you know, the outlaw life was done, you know?
Yeah.
It was kind of over by the turn of the century.
But anyway, so basically, I'm a cowboy now, so...
I'm a cowboy now. I have to announce to you all that I'm a cowboy. Thank you.
But we mentioned before about how we've longed for American period dramas.
American period dramas, yeah.
And so we found that 1883. We saw an advertisement for the Benjamin Franklin one with
Michael Douglas.
Yeah. That looks interesting. Yeah.
I think that's streaming now. Actually,
is it?
I think it's a movie. Yeah.
Yay! We're gonna have to watch.
Or it
that
might
one.
be a series. I'm not sure.
We've started 1923, but we're also watching
Manhunt on Apple TV.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is about the Abraham Lincoln assassination
and it
John
should be.
Wilkes Booth.
I think it should be almost finished.
It's almost finished. Yeah. Tobias Menzies is Edwin Stanton.
You might
Secretary of War.
You might remember him if you've seen Outlander.
He played the psychopath in that.
Well, and her husband slash the psychopath.
in that.
And he was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And he was in The Crown as the Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, geez. Yeah, he's done a lot lately.
Well, lately, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's been pretty good. I think I've read that there's some historical inaccuracies. There's always going to be. Yeah, there's always going to be, isn't there?
No one's around from that time to tell us how it really was.
Right.
No, you know, especially from that era, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only got written accounts, which obviously can be biased and...
Yes. I mean, I don't know. I'm two ways about historical things, because in some ways you want it to be as accurate as possible, because some people are going to watch it and go, well, this is exactly how it was. This is what happened. I didn't know that happened. And it's just like, well, it didn't, you know, that part didn't happen or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's art imitating life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think someone creating it,
it's romanticized.
It's romanticized. I mean, maybe they add a bit to add in a little bit of drama sometimes, because it is entertainment at the end of the day. You know, it's not like you're watching a documentary or something.
Yeah.
I think if it's a documentary, it should be 100% accurate, or as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
But if it's fiction, it's fiction, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe you can add in people that didn't really exist, or, you know, whatever. I don't know. Let us know what you think anyway. But
let us know.
We've both enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think it's been pretty good. Yeah. I'm so glad that they're finally I'm so glad that there's because they've tried over the years several times to make period dramas set in the United States, and they just haven't worked.
Well, they haven't worked. I don't know why that is. I mean, that's just people just kind of
not being interested for some reason.
Not being interested.
But I'm glad there's so many streaming services now that I think they just need content. So they're like, yeah, we'll take it. You know, yeah, come on, put your period drama here. That's fine, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad for that.
That was cute. We listened to Primrose Hill.
Oh.
By James McCartney.
Yeah. That's the next topic.
That's the next topic.
Speaking of the Beatles.
Yeah. This episode might run on a little bit, but yeah, we listened to Primrose Hill by James McCartney, and it was co-written by Sean Lennon. And it wasn't a bad song, it was just a little ditty, wasn't
therefore, it was technically
a Lennon and McCartney composition.
Yes.
And, of course,
McCartney-Lennon,
the BBC and everyone ran with that headline. It's like,
well,
new Lennon-McCartney song composition, but it's by their kids.
Yeah. But it wasn't Lennon-McCartney, it was McCartney-Lennon, because I think it was mostly a James McCartney track.
Yeah, I think.
And Sean just helped him.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Beatles fans we have as listeners, but let us know if you've heard this song, because
Yes.
I need to know what you think. Because I think as a Beatles fan, you're gonna only be, like, usually... Dominic and I are not so much, but I think you're only gonna be one of two ways for the most part. You're going to either love it, because it was created by the children of your heroes... John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and none of them can do any wrong, or you're gonna hate it because it was created by their kids and not them, and they're never gonna live up to their fathers, and why are they even bothering? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're only gonna be in Dominic and I'm saying you're only gonna be in one of those two camps. Dominic and I think we try to be fair. We try not to fall in one camp or the other.
I think so.
But most people are in one or the other of those two camps, those two schools of thought, if you will. And, I mean, what did you think?
I thought it was a nice little ditty.
A nice little ditty.
It was a nice little ditty about Primrose Hill in London.
Yeah.
I mean, James sounded okay on it.
His voice, he's got a nice voice, actually. That's a positive.
Double-tracked.
I think he's got a nice voice. Yeah, I don't know
it was well recorded, I think.
I know he's put stuff out.
You didn't think it was well recorded, did you?
No. I thought it sounded cheap.
Sounded cheap like what I do. Like my albums.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
You don't say it like that. That's not what I meant.
And he's got access to... Oh, maybe he didn't. Maybe his dad said, oh, no, I haven't got the key. You can't get in the studio.
I just meant... God, you make it sound so bad. I just meant...
It was good. My stuff. Hey, go listen to my albums. They're very well made.
Put out an album. Go find them.
Well, my one album and the other one I'm going to just release like Taylor Swift. Just drop it all and all my fans can do the listening. And they can tell me how great I am.
No, I just... I just meant that because you just record your stuff here at home, not on professional equipment, not in a studio, not in any sort of like soundproofing where it can sound like really great and all of that kind of stuff, because this is what you have available to you, right? I just meant it sounds like that's what he did, as if he's not Paul McCartney's
He recorded it in the kitchen.
It's like Paul McCartney has a studio.
Yeah.
Just a few feet from his freaking house. Like, what? I mean,
I think it's actually more than a few feet.
He must have recorded it in a studio, but it doesn't sound like it, is what I mean. And I'm just like, why? I don't know. It was very overly simple to me.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to talk too, like, negatively about it, but it's just like, I don't know if I'd ever heard him sing, actually, that I can think of. So I was definitely surprised at the quality of his voice, because I didn't really hear autotune that I can think of, that I can remember anyway. And he sounded good. His voice sounded really good.
Yeah.
I wished, because several years ago, Sean Lennon put out an album called Friendly Fire, and it was actually, I know you don't necessarily agree with me, but it was, to me, it was actually a really good album.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not too bad on a listen back that we had the other day. It was okay.
I think that James McCartney's singing voice may be more commercial than Sean Lennon's singing voice.
Yeah, Sean's got a very distinctive voice,
So I kind of wish that maybe Sean had a bit more. I mean, I don't know how involved he was in writing this song, Primrose Hill. It didn't really sound like he was probably that involved based on other songs of his that I have heard before. I wish he was a little bit more involved in writing it, and then James could have just sung it, and that would have been probably maybe a pretty good song, but this was just okay for me. Let's just say that. Anyway.
I mean, I found the song to be fine. You know, it's good.
You suck up.
I'm not sucking up by any means. If I was sucking up, oh, it's so great, it's the best thing, it's better than the Beatles. You know, it's like, you know, it's fine. It wasn't terrible.
It wasn't terrible.
You know, because
no,
you see someone's terrible song.
It wasn't terrible. You know what I thought was funny at the end when he has like the guitar solo? It sounded like Paul on the guitar.
Maybe it was Paul. We don't know. Maybe
I doubt it was.
Maybe he listened to it and he was like, you know what that needs is some guitar.
I don't think Paul would have been on it and them not say that it was Paul. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe no. It's like, oh, don't say you're on it because they'll just want to buy it because
James
of you.
Played the guitar on he's just a young boy looking for a way.
I don't know if he played the guitar on that. That the song was about him.
Oh, it wasn't that song. It was Heaven on a Sunday.
Yeah.
That's it. So he can play the guitar.
Yeah.
So, but I just think it's funny. So that was probably him on the guitar at the end. I just thought it was funny because it sounded like Paul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how can someone playing the guitar sound like their father playing the guitar?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought that was kind of cool, actually. But speaking of the Beatles,
Disney Plus is releasing the Let It Be movie in its entirety.
Yes.
Streaming on May 8th.
Not to be confused with Get Back.
Get Back was pretty much the making of Let It Be.
Yeah.
And I think he's even said, I didn't use too much footage from the actual movie.
Yeah.
In Get Back.
Mm-hmm.
It was all outtakes.
Yeah.
You know, because I wanted that to be different than what Michael Lindsay Hogg, the original director, had put together.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, Peter Jackson has restored it, and he said Michael Lindsay Hogg was unfailingly helpful and gracious while I made Get Back, and it's only right that his original movie has the last word, looking and sounding far better than it did in 1970.
Yeah. You were a little bit like, why are they bothering with this?
Why are they bothering this? But then again, it's like they need to release that.
Yeah, I think so.
And they've been trying to release that for years, really.
I think people who are Beatles fans, who are unlike us, who have bootleg copies of things like this and have seen it for years and years, need to see it because it was an original release, you know. It
was released in the theaters and then it kind of promptly disappeared. And, you know, Michael Lindsay Hogg says, the reason it gets such a bad rap is because it came out, it dropped right as they split up.
Yeah.
You know, right after they'd split up. So people were going to see it and it was like, oh, it's miserable, it's dark. And
I mean, knowing that they split up.
It kind of got buried by Apple.
Yeah.
And so only home media stuff, you know, was released, you know, and it was like a cassette in the 80s, and it was very poor quality.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when you look at it, and you know, we've seen it, and it's just kind of like, you know, because we had a bootleg DVD of it or something.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, it's hard. It's a hard watch now with it being cleaned up and everything, and maybe
it's still going to be a hard watch because ultimately we know they split up.
Yeah.
And they're our favorite band. And it's sad that they split up. And you can see in that how, unhappy they were, you know?
Yeah,
It really points out, it's depressing.
Because that's what everybody had that. And so when he went to remaster the footage, you know, he had access to it, he thought, oh, this is going to be rough.
Yeah.
But he was like,
let me try to find some.
Well, no, he didn't know what to expect. He thought it was just going to be 60 hours of pure misery.
Yeah.
Of pure arguments and, just bad atmosphere, man.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's like, no, they were having fun. In majority of those outtakes, they were just having a great time.
Yeah.
So just put it together and it looks great, you know, and it was restored. Everything looks... Because it was made on 16mm film, so... He had to kind of upscale that a little bit. And so it doesn't look as...
Let It Be.
Let It Be and the outtakes, the whole film. You know? Yeah. It wasn't made on 35mm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it looked good.
I mean, it looked good, yes. But it didn't look as good as it would have on 35mm.
Yeah, I guess.
And they couldn't... That's probably because they couldn't... They were like, oh, is this going to be a film or is this going to be for TV?
Yeah, yes. Oh, right,
and so TV was like, you know, we'll just get 16mm.
Mm.
And so, you know, obviously it doesn't. They released it in theaters and stuff. They blew it up artificially, but it still didn't look great.
Yeah.
And I mean, in Get Back, you can see like the limitations of the film that he had to restore. Yeah. But it still looks fantastic, Mm. But if it was 35mm actual proper film, like if they'd saved all the outtakes from A Hard Day's Night and Help, we could have probably gotten a better looking film.
Yeah. Speaking of speaking of the most popular British bands of all time.
Oh yes. Victoria Beckham recently turned 50. And so she had a big party. Well, a big party, they had it at...
It looked like they were just at their house, were they not?
No, it was a private club in London somewhere. Oh. They invited people like Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Cruise was there.
Okay.
And... who else? Eva Longoria, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot. There
was
a lot
some
of
their LA friends.
LA friends, yeah.
Oh, right, Tom Cruise. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So they were all there for thing, and the Spice Girls turned up. The rest of them.
Yeah.
And so they just kind of like had a little dance, and they played "Stop Right Now," one of their hits. Because I was talking to her, I was like, "Oh, I've never heard that. You've never heard that one before."
Yeah.
They had like 9 number ones in the UK.
Whereas
over here
Spice
it sounds
Girl
like they only had 2.
I wasn't a big... Well, we went through some of their hits, didn't we?
And
I
you
think
were like,
I knew about 4 of them. 4 or 5, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew the ones that came on the radio over here. I don't know. I'd never had their
They were. I mean, they were.
Anything.
They were. They were. Oh, it was Spice Mania all over the UK, all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, they were huge here too. I just wasn't like super into them,
But yeah, so they were doing that, and they were doing their dance, and David Beckham filmed it and put it up on social media.
Yeah.
And it was a spice up your life. And, people were like overjoyed to see it.
Yeah.
For the 5 of them back together for the first time in years, and one person goes, "How my daughter feels about Taylor Swift is how I feel about these girls."
Really? Yeah.
I mean, they're, I mean,
how many albums did the Spice Girls put out?
4.
4?
I think it
really?
was 4, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think they had Spice, then they had Spice World.
Did Spice, and then Spice 2, and then Spice
3. They had Spice. I remember that one. That was their first one. And then Spice World, which was they made that movie.
That was like the film, right? Okay, yeah.
And then they had another one.
It was like their Hard Day's Night, basically.
Yeah, they had a couple more. Because they split up in 2000 or 2001. But really they split up when Jerry Halliwell left.
Yeah.
They had
which was when?
1998.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of
like
went
a year or two after they came out.
Well, they formed in 94.
Oh, okay.
And then in 95 it was kind of like they signed with Simon Fuller and then they released Wannabe in 96. And that was before they haven't even like played a gig or anything. They never like paid their dues in like, we came up from the clubs. They were put together. Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
And it wasn't until like 1997 that they did their first concert.
Oh,
so it was like, are they ready to go out live? Yeah.
Well, because it was probably like, they need to bond.
They need to bond. Well,
they need to create some chemistry between them.
They had bonded by 96, and then they were doing like, they were just in the studio becoming singers, I think.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of people
said... they weren't even singers. Like, how were they put together then? Just based purely on how they looked?
Pretty much.
Oh, God.
It was to compete with boy bands at the time, and they put out an audition called Can You Sing? Can You... And, it's like, anyone's going to turn up. It was like, like...
Anybody who thinks they can
X Factor,
sing
American Idol, that kind of thing, And I think Simon Fuller even created what we know of as American Idol now, the format, anyway.
Yeah.
And, and a documentary came out years later of, like, home movie footage of them rehearsing together for the very first time. And
and what, they sounded terrible?
Well, they didn't want it to come out. The Spice Girls didn't want it to come out because it's like, we want to create this illusion that we were all friends.
Yeah.
Before, and...
I mean, it worked for One Direction, right? Like, they were all just put together.
Yeah, but now it's more accepted now.
It's more accepted, yeah.
But back in the 90s, it was like, oh no, you know?
Oh, you
these were school friends, you know? I don't know if they lied or anything like that. They just says, oh, I met so-and-so.
I mean, Kelly Clarkson had a really difficult time after she won the first season of American Idol. Like, she wanted to work with all these popular singers at the time. Nobody would work with her. Like, nobody would do duets with her and stuff, you know, if she wanted somebody to come on her album.
Because it was like, oh, you're kind of a reality pop star.
Yeah, oh, you haven't paid your dues. You're not a real musician. That. It's like, you don't know someone hasn't paid their dues just because they're auditioning for a show. You don't know how many auditions they've tried or how many clubs they've played or whatever beforehand. You know, it's like, I've never agreed with that assumption that, oh, they were fast-tracked to fame. It's like, you have no idea how many years they've been playing.
Yeah. I mean,
clubs or bars or whatever, you know.
With the Spice Girls, they were like put together by Heart Management, which was like it was kind of like they were looking to create a girl group to combat Take That and
to combat them.
Well, you know, like
hand
to hand combat, Take That live on stage at the Birmingham NEC, which would have been. You know, there you go. But it's just like, oh, just to kind of like, because, you know, we need girls to be into, or boys to be into girls. Yeah. Performing. They thought they could get that. Yeah. And it didn't really work. With the Spice Girls, it didn't really, it worked.
That never really happened.
Girls just got into the Spice Girls and were like, yeah, girl power, yeah.
That's another discussion,
Ginger Spice.
Why do men have a problem, like, getting into female artists? Like, female artists don't have a problem getting into male artists.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a question for another time, I think. But yeah, so they had that, and then they signed to Simon Fuller, and he was kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll push you, and we'll do this song. And Wannabe became a hit, and that was it. Spice was everywhere.
Spice. Let us know if you're a fan of the Spice Girls, and which one is your favorite Spice Girl, if you are a big fan, because everybody
Can
seems
you
to
name
have...
the Spice Girls?
Everybody seems to have I can name them. I'm not a huge fan, but I can name all of them.
Oh, well, there you go. That's how
Ginger, Posh, Baby, Sporty, and Scary, right? That's them. Yeah, I know them.
And what the two Mels, what's their last names?
B and C.
Mel B and Mel C. Thank you very much. Good night. Melanie Chisholm and Melanie Brown.
Oh,
I think Brown is.
I don't even know. What is... Oh, Emma Bunton?
Emma Bunton. Jerry Halliwell.
Emma Bunton
Victoria. Oh, what was she before Beckham?
Oh, I don't know.
Victoria...
Posh.
Oh. She was Posh Spice, yeah.
She was Victoria Posh.
Yeah, I can't remember what she was before Beckham, but... Because she married David Beckham, and that it ushered in a new era of celebrity obsession. Right
yeah.
And we watched the Beckham documentary, so...
Yeah. Alright, we're way over time.
Way over time!
We warned you this was going to be a long one, but we like to talk, so I don't know what else you want from us. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For tuning in. We really appreciate your support, as always. Give us a follow on social media. If you don't follow us already, we are at TButty on all the socials. Shout out to our patrons for their continued support. We really appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to all of you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.